From admitting that certain parts were a mistake, to now recoiling at jokes their characters uttered on the big screen, these actors all feel varying degrees of regret over their Oscar contender portrayals. I'm Gareth from WhatCulture.com, and here are 10 Oscar-recognized movie roles actors regret. Number 10. Elliot Page, Juno. With his starring turn as the titular pregnant teen in 2007's Juno largely putting Elliot Page on the mainstream map, you'd be forgiven for assuming that the powerhouse performer had very few things to regret about the whole experience. However, as the years have passed by since his Oscar-nominated portrayal first hit screens, Page has expressed their disappointment at a joke his character uttered over the course of the flick. With Page coming out as a member of the LGBTQ+ community later down the line, Juno stating that the name Madison sounds a little gay for her child has become a moment that he admits feels homophobic and problematic upon a rewatch. Going further, Page told Bustle a few years ago, "It wasn't something I totally registered at the time, but of course now that I'm older I do. So many movies I loved as a kid are just rampant with homophobia and transphobia and biphobia, and I'm not excusing it by any means." And when the star was brought back to do a script reading of the film for Planned Parenthood, Page made a point of missing out that line altogether. Number 9. Brad Pitt, 12 Monkeys. Ever watched a half of whatever sport it is that you prefer to spend your few hours of free time on, and simply admired a team's exceptional skill and work ethic in that spell, only to wonder what in the holy hell happened to them once they showed up for the second half? Well, that's precisely how Brad Pitt feels when sitting down to watch his Academy Award-nominated work as Jeffrey Goins in 12 Monkeys. Despite picking up his first Oscar nod for his part in Terry Gilliam's 1995 flick, Pitt has gone on record to admit that he nailed the first half, but got the second half all wrong. After feeling as though he'd weaved some genuine authenticity into his character's many tics and ramblings that play out over that aforementioned first half of the feature, Pitt has confessed, "I knew in the second half of the film I was playing the gimmick of what was real in the first half, until the last scene, and it bugged the naughty word out of him." The star was seemingly much less critical of his work by the time he finally won the big one in 2020 for his role in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Number 8. Mahershala Ali, Green Book. Far from regretting the experience of playing Dr. Don Shirley in the Best Picture-winning Green Book, Mahershala Ali has described the role as being the best opportunity that has ever come his way at that point. However, by the time his eventual Oscar-winning turn as Shirley arrived on the big screen, the real-life doctor's family were quick to blast the project for being inaccurate, going as far as to say that the filmmakers didn't even bother to speak with them in order to check Shirley's side of the story was valid. Clearly disturbed by this response, Ali went out of his way to phone the family, showing regret for not having sought them out for advice when bringing Shirley to life. As Edwin Shirley would reveal when talking to Shadow and Act, what he said was, "If I have offended you, I am so terribly sorry. I did the best I could with the material I had. I was not aware that there were close relatives with whom I could have consulted to add some nuance to the character." Given the chance to go back and redo this role, it seems Ali would prefer to bring this acclaimed performance to screen with a little help from Shirley's family. Number 7. Alec Guinness, Star Wars. It may have earned him a pretty penny and an Academy Award nod when all was said and done. But don't be fooled. Sir Alec Guinness still harbored his fair share of regrets over pulling on the cloak of Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi in George Lucas's Star Wars. Literally saying as much when talking to The Guardian about the role. As to why this was the case, well, that came down to a number of issues the Titanic thespian had with the film's script/dialogue, and just feeling generally out of touch with what was being presented to him. In his words, "I like them well enough, but it's not an acting job. The dialogue, which is lamentable, keeps being changed and only slightly improved, and I find myself old and out of touch with the young." If that doesn't highlight his sheer distaste of the experience, then perhaps the tale of Guinness telling a young fan who confessed to have seen the film 100+ times that he'd only sign an autograph if he agreed to never watch it again will do the job. Number 6. Marlon Brando, A Streetcar Named Desire. Being hurled into the spotlight on the back of one truly mesmerizing performance isn't always what it's cracked up to be. Just look at the reaction Marlon Brando had to the overall reception to his stunning Oscar-nominated work as Stanley Kowalski in 1951's A Streetcar Named Desire for an example of a thespian who quickly shunned what made him a household name. Brassed off that his controversial character was turned into some sort of sex symbol in the wake of his tour de force performance as the abusive Kowalski, Kowalski. He felt that the character's handsomeness and more desirable traits had overshadowed all that made him such a monstrous entity. In the time that would follow his high-profile turn, Brando also expressed his hatred of being compared to this ape, largely because he'd based his work on dudes who were muscles, inarticulate, aggressive animals, who go through life responding to nothing but their urges and never doubting them, as he so elegantly put it in his autobiography. Number 5. Burt Reynolds' Boogie Nights. Coming at a stage in the legendary movie star's career when making friends and ensuring those he was working for/with were all singing from the same song sheet were pretty far down his list of priorities. Burt Reynolds' public criticism of the one and only role that landed him an Academy Awards acknowledgement has become the stuff of legend. On top of admitting that he turned down his role of Jack Horner a whopping 7 times before finally acquiescing, largely due to the movie's subject matter, that of the golden age of porn, making him feel very uncomfortable. Reynolds would also confess to Conan O'Brien, "It just wasn't my kind of film." Going one step further, despite never even sitting down to watch the performance that earned him a Best Supporting Actor nod, he was said to have been so aggravated by the role that he immediately fired his agent after shooting the flick. And the cherry on top of this regrettable cake manifested itself in Reynolds also not having the best relationship with the film's director, Paul Thomas Anderson. Reynolds even declined a role in Anderson's next film, Magnolia, saying, "I'd done my picture with Paul Thomas Anderson, that was enough for me." Number 4. Meryl Streep, the French Lieutenant's Woman. Weighing in with a staggering 18 Academy Award nominations and a further 3 wins over the course of an unrivaled big screen career, it's hard to believe that Meryl Streep would regret any part she's applied herself to and earned such critical acclaim for over the years. But as the star herself revealed a few years back, there is actually one early performance that makes her uncomfortable upon a rewatch to this day. Speaking on The Graham Norton Show in 2016, Streep would state that the structure of the film was sort of artificial, as she was playing the actress playing the French lieutenant's woman, while at the same time being an American actress playing a British woman. It's not hard to see why this made it quite difficult for Streep to fully connect to the character. Streep has also admitted that being young and new to this likely influenced her opinion that, as she put it, "I didn't feel like I was living it. You always want to do something better after the fact." It's still hard to class this as a weak effort by any means, but Streep clearly feels she could have done more with the role. Number 3. Kate Winslet, Titanic. Another star who can quite honestly class herself as Academy Awards royalty, bringing home 6 nominations and a win to date. Kate Winslet also isn't entirely content when it comes to every role in her Oscar-recognized back catalogue. Perhaps more shocking is the fact that it's Winslet's most successful film ever that brings her the most regret, with the Brit frequently poking holes in her performance as Rose in James Cameron's record-smashing Titanic. When asked what scene she'd changed during an interview with CNN back in 2012, Winslet fired back with a swift response of every single scene, slamming her American accent and all-round approach to the role. The acclaimed thespian finds herself regularly exclaiming, really? Really? You did it like that? Oh my god," when reliving the experience. It's not all doom and gloom for Winslet when reassessing her part in the flick though, admitting to Rolling Stone that she actually regretted her sex scene with Leonardo DiCaprio had to end. In her words, "Even though I didn't feel that way about Leo, it was quite nice to sort of feel that way in the scene. It was quite lovely." Seems Winslet just didn't want to let go. Still too soon. Number 2. Viola Davis, The Help. Forging a career as diverse as it is simply awe-inspiring in her 3 decades dominating the stage, small and big screen, picking up Tony, Emmy, and Academy Awards aplenty along the way. With Viola Davis's formidable experience comes a level of honesty few actors are willing to unveil to the public. Evidence of Davis's unfiltered opinion of her work, and what she feels acts as a regret upon a revisit, can be found in her appraisal of her Oscar-nominated turn as Aibileen Clark in The Help. Far from wincing at the experience of working with her colleagues on the film though, it was the way the movie was presented which left a sour taste in her mouth. Speaking to the New York Times, Davis explained, "I just feel that at the end of the day that it wasn't the voices of the maids that were heard. In the end, Davis just didn't really feel the project really give us the maids' perspective of how it felt to work for white people and raise kids in 1963, saying I never heard that in the course of the movie." Number 1. Eddie Redmayne, The Danish Girl. For a time, it felt as though everything Eddie Redmayne touched turned into Oscar contender gold, with his exceptional work playing the late Stephen Hawking soon being followed by another acclaimed turn as Lily Elbe, one of the first people known to have undergone sex reassignment surgery in The Danish Girl, picking up an Academy Award win and nod respectively. However, the star himself feels as though his decision to take the latter role hasn't aged particularly well in hindsight, going as far as to call it a mistake when recently speaking to the Sunday Times, highlighting that many people don't have a chair at the table in terms of being cast for film and TV roles. The star confessed, "I wouldn't take it on now. I made that film with the best intentions, but I think it was a mistake." It must be said that even at the time of the film's release, there were calls for a transgender actor to be cast in the role of Elbe. But even with that being the case, Redmayne has still gone on record saying he felt honored to be part of the conversation and is an ally of the trans community. And that's our list. Know of any other Oscar-recognized movie roles actors regret? Let us know all about them in the comment section right down below, and do not forget to like, share, and click on that subscribe button. Also, be sure to head on over to whatculture.com and find some more incredible articles just like the one this video you are watching is based on. I've been Gareth from whatculture.com. Thank you as always for clicking on this video today, and I'm sure I'll see you very, very soon. Bye-bye!